Hello again, everybody. Cathy McLeish, and again, I'm talking about alcoholism, different facets of alcoholism and how it affects our lives, whether we are the practicing drinker or we are on the sidelines watching them destroy their life. So, anyways, today I want to talk to the alcoholic and ask, who has the power? Because a lot of times we get towards the end, or we get towards the place where we think, maybe I should stop, maybe I shouldn't stop. And we think, it doesn't matter because I don't have any control over any of this. And in one sense, we don't. We don't have control over other people, places, and things. The only thing we really have control over is ourselves. And while that may sound disappointing, that is so powerful. We have the power over ourselves, our next choice, our next action, our next verbal sentence. So anyways, how does that power help me at this point in my life? So I may look at my life and think, I gotta keep this job, there's no other way. I hate this job, but I gotta work it. I gotta stay in this house, I can't do anything else. This apartment is the only thing I can afford. I can't get a new car, and my car is broken down, but I don't have any money. So we stay in this life of drinking or drugging because we have all of these things we cannot change. And the lie that we're telling ourselves is that we can't change them. We hide behind that drink and use it as an excuse to not live our life to the fullest because it's kind of scary. But you know what? It is scary because being a practicing drinker, heavy drinker, alcoholic, is so unpredictable. We start out the day and we think, this is what we're gonna do. And then we give in to that craving, to that desire, to that disease of alcoholism that manifests as a craving. And we give in to that, and then our day is not our own anymore. We have no idea what's going to happen. We don't know how much we're going to drink. We don't know where we're going to show up and where we're not. We don't know what promise we're going to keep and what promise we're going to break. And so we aren't making any big life choices because we can't even maneuver the small choices that we've made in life. Because once we take a drink, the drink takes the rest of our day. The drink takes our decision making. The drink takes the outcome of what we thought was going to happen in the next 24 hours. And it is that same predictable outcome that we had the day before, the week before, the month before. And so it's very hard to invest in our own future. But when I make the decision, when I start just an hour at a time, a day at a time, staying away from that thing, that drink, that alcohol that is stealing my choices, then I get my choices back and I actually have the power. I take the power back. And you know, it seems a little bit like, oh, so black and white. She makes it sound so simple. But really, the thing is, we have been feeding ourselves this big lie that our life is out of our control. And people will say, well, you don't have control. You don't have control over what happens. And in an extreme, in a lot of areas, we don't. I don't have control over what the other people in my life are going to do. I don't have control over the weather. I don't have control over the economy. I don't have control over a lot of big things. But I do have control over my actions and my attitudes. And with that power, I can move mountains. Now, you may know some of my story, and you may say, gosh, she's 37 years away from a drink. How does she even remember? And the reality is, you don't go through something like I went through, like we do as recovering alcoholics, and forget it. They warn you that if you forget it, that you will probably go back, because remembering it is the biggest gift you can give yourself. And then the other thing is, in recovery and in most programs, you are asked to keep giving back, to keep helping other people. One, to keep your thinking straight, and two, to help other people out of that black, dark hole that you were fortunate enough to get out of. So I have my story, and over the years, I have helped dozens and dozens of women, and I have had dozens of women come into my life, share their story, and help me in this facet, in that facet. And so I have the experience of hundreds of women that I can go to and say, yeah, I may not have had that experience, but I walked closely with this person, and this was their experience, and this was their outcome. So when I got sober, there was so much power that I realized that I had given up when I decided to drink and keep on drinking. And drinking became my answer. And that was the only way that I could face life. So I gave up power. And when I gave up the drink, a day at a time, a month at a time, I started to get that power back. The power of choice, the power of the attitude I would walk into each day with, the power of having hope, where before whatever was going to happen because I was going to take the drink, and I lost control after that. And I don't mean physically losing control. I just mean when you cross the line and you are in full-blown addiction to alcohol, you cannot control what happens after you take that first drink. So if every day I'm drinking at 9, I'm drinking at noon, I'm drinking at 5, I have lost a lot of my power in conversation, in decision making, in, my commitments and keeping my commitments and my promises. And so with sobriety came power. And it is a good kind of power. It is a healthy kind of power that we are intended to have in our own life. The power to make the next right choice. The power to do the next right thing. The power to be the person that we were intended to be. That I want to be authentic, trustworthy, respectable. So I have this power back in my life. And one decision by another, I can reframe my life. I can maybe invest in a new car because I know this paycheck is going to come in and I'm on this budget and this is what I'm going to do with it. I can invest in moving. Now, they do say a thing in recovery, and a lot of different recovery programs don't make any big decisions in the first year. And you know why that is? And oftentimes people think that they, really know how their life is going to go in the first year. And yet in the first year, it's kind of like, we have blown our life up, and it's like all of the pieces are just falling. And so when I stop drinking, I have all these pieces falling, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in finances, whether it's in who I even know myself to be. All of these pieces are falling and settling, and I really haven't let them settle and grow roots. So to make any decisions during that transition part of my life, yes, I've decided not to drink, but I don't really know who I am. I honestly don't really know what I think. I have been kind of on the sidelines of life instead of participating in life. I really don't know where my relationship is at with my parents. I'm pretty sure I'm okay with my kids, but maybe I ought to have some one-on-ones because I don't know what all happened in my blackouts. So I have this period of time where I need to allow my life to settle. Because honest to gosh, I might say something in the first 60 days about something very important. In 6 months, I might think, why did I ever commit to that? Why did I ever sign on that dotted line? Because I am not the same person 6 months later in sobriety. And that may sound kind of weird, but it's like you're really developing yourself, your conscious contact with this thinking process that we have used the drink to avoid. And I drank every time something got uncomfortable, every time an emotion came at me that I didn't know what to do. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this or that. So to stay away from any big decisions in the first year is really a very intelligent thing for the newly sober person to incorporate in their life. It saves from having to backtrack and say, I know I told you I would do this. I know I told you I would do that. Or I'm not sure why I took that different job and moved to another state. There are a lot of big decisions that can really change the trajectory of our life. And sometimes in a good way and sometimes not so much. So just giving our life time to settle after we put down the drink is a very healthy thing to do. I have the power. And by that, I mean, I am not in control of you or them or that, but I have power as to how I show up. I have power as to my attitude and the actions that follow the thinking that I'm trying to change. So I have a new and a predictable and a dependable power as long as I stay away from that drink. And the best thing I can do to be able to count on that power is to align it with someone that I really admire and respect how they're living their life for right reasons. Not because they're super far ahead of me financially and I want what they have. That's my reasons of old when I was drinking. Because I like who they are. I want to live like they live. I want to show up how they show up. I want to be them when I grow up. And sometimes those people were actually younger than me, but they had a lot that they were doing that was on track that I could emulate and learn from. So aligning my decision making with someone, running it by other people, is like the healthiest thing that I can do in early sobriety. And it also gives me the best chance at getting where I want to get. It's not like I am, this child and I'm making decisions by listening to everybody else rattle off what I should do. It's not really like that. It's like I am getting input because I don't know everything about everything, nor should I. I've, learned that over a long period of time. Why do I think that I should know all these things about all these things? I am doing good to know a lot about a few things in my life at 37 years sobriety. But for the rest of life, I am fine finding someone else that is doing it great and saying, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this medical question? Can you help me with this problem I have with my car? I am good tossing those out to somebody else that knows more than I. So early in sobriety, it was just about everybody that knew more than I did about just about everything. And that's okay. It's humbling, but it's okay, because for me to ask other people is the best way for me to get out of the gate with success. So I have a new power, and it is at my fingertips if I want to put down that drink. I don't need to lie to myself any longer about everything in my life is out of control, and so why not drink? It's not true. Everything is out of control because I am drinking. And if I want to take back some of that power in a healthy way, in the way that I'm supposed to be doing as an adult in my own life, then putting down the drink is the first good decision, and the others will follow. So I'm Cathy McLeish, just talking about what alcohol takes from us and what we can really take back if we're willing, one day at a time, to ask for help and to just step away from that drink so we can get a clearer picture about what alcohol is doing to our life. Thanks.